start with, I'll just talk about culture studies for some time. I'll just give you an introduction to culture studies. A very banal definition of culture is the customs and beliefs, art, way of life, and social organization of a particular country or group. So that is from Oxford Learners Dictionary. So that is the definition of culture. It's just a way of life. And also you have culture, which is not just an entity that exists in isolation, but rather it is an entanglement of material and abstract attributes. Everything together is what is called as culture. Now, for instance, you have language. Now, language is so much a part of culture. For instance, you have languages forming different states with different cultures in our own country, India. People living in Tamil Nadu and people living in Kerala, the culture is different, and so is the language. Now, as far as language is concerned, language is both material and also abstract. Abstract, it explains, but I mean, it does not need any explanation. It is self-explanatory because language is something that you cannot touch. Language is something that you can just feel, but it is not something that is concrete. But however, it is also material because you have language and you also have a dictionary which is being sold. That is the material use of language. You have grammar books, you have a number of books written in a particular language. So all that is the material attribute of language. And then you have art. Now, talking about art, again, it is material. It is an exhibition, in fact, of human imagination, but however, it is also material. Cinema is a form of art, but it is more materialistic these days. Same is the case with religion and also with food habits. Now, talking about food habits are very, very specific to a particular culture. For instance, my friends who live in the Northeast, they eat momos, they eat chow mein, but we eat idli and dosa. So food habits are also an indication of the culture of people. And to talk about art, you've always had instances of a number of artists in the history of literature itself. For instance, you had Shakespeare. Now, Shakespeare, you could say that he was objective, but in fact, he was being patronized by Queen Elizabeth. So, which means that he could have been influenced by Elizabeth. There are a number of references in his works to Puritanism and also to Catholicism. I'll be showing you a few pictures also. Now, this is about language, how language is also something that has a material attribute in spite of being a part of culture. So, you have dictionaries, a number of these grammar books, and so on and so forth, as far as the component of literature, which is an integral part of culture, is concerned. I talked to you about Shakespeare. Now you have this very famous scene in Twelfth Night wherein there is a mockery of the Puritans. You have the character Malvolio who is being fooled by a group of people. That actually shows the influence of the contemporary society on art. And then you have this famous Netflix series, Money Heist, which is also my very favorite Netflix series. Art never exists in vacuum because it always has material attributes. The whole series of Money Heist is produced under certain conditions. And you could look at how each component is constructed. So, culture is basically a way an individual establishes a dialogue with an environment. The next is food. Now, again, as I told you, food is a marker of culture. Food could be celebratory or even mourning. Food differs at different points of time. Even it depends on the mood of a person. You have high culture and low culture being the two forms of entertainment. Earlier, when Shakespeare was actually writing the plays and when they were staged, they were being watched by only the people from the lower class or the common masses. The people from the higher class never opted to watch the plays of Shakespeare when he lived. This I'm talking about the times when Shakespeare wrote these plays. And Shakespeare's plays were in fact meant for mass entertainment. But then these days, supposing if I read Hamlet or if I read Macbeth, then people will think that I belong to a higher class. Now, what was once considered as lower culture has now become something that is considered as high culture. So this actually indicates one of the most important characteristic of culture, that culture is always in a state of flux. Now Shakespeare, now this picture is actually a stage representation of one of Shakespeare's plays. And to this side, you have the collected works of Shakespeare. Now, this actually shows the dichotomy that exists between high culture and low culture. What was once considered as low culture is now considered as high culture. Shakespeare, when he lived, he was not praised. But then now, people eulogize Shakespeare a lot. So that is the difference between high culture and low culture. And also to talk about a literary reference to high culture and low culture, we could pick up one from Raymond Williams's work, Keywords, wherein he talks about his own experiences. He had been to the army for a fight. I mean, it is actually obvious that he must have been away from home for quite some time. And when he came back, he found that the culture had changed. Now, that time gap itself is sufficient for culture to change. I mean, he is in conversation with another person wherein they talk about culture and also about the dislocation that has happened cause of the movement in culture. Talking about culture and Raymond Williams's definition of culture, you could go back to reading this particular definition from Keywords. And the subtitle of Keywords is A Vocabulary of Culture and Society. Culture is basically a Latin word, which it is derived from a Latin word cultura. Cultura means to grow or to cultivate. So, I mean, people generally cultivate values or, in fact, you imbibe traditions. So, that is indicative of this word cultura, wherein it is actually growth or cultivation. That is what is called as culture. Now, the very fact that it is from the word culture, which is growth and cultivation, it indicates that it is an organic and mutable phenomenon. Mutable because it is bound to change. It is always something that is dynamic. And you also have another etymology. It could have also been derived from the word colere, which probably refers to cultivating human values in the society. So that is what is the etymology of culture. Now we look at culture over the years. Now there's this particular book by Raymond Williams, Culture and Society, wherein he traces the history of culture itself. It starts with Edmund Burke. He talks about how Edmund Burke defines culture. And then he moves on to talk about William Cobbett. He talks about the Romantics and then about Matthew Arnold's Culture and Anarchy. And you have him talking about culture or the development of this particular thought of culture over, say, 200 years or 250 years. The definition that Matthew Arnold gives for culture is the study of perfection, says Matthew Arnold in Culture and Anarchy. You could also go back and read this particular work because Culture and Anarchy again is an important contribution of Matthew Arnold to the world of literature. Then you have Raymond Williams. Raymond Williams says culture is something ordinary. It is the whole way of life. It's just the way people live their life. In simple terms, you could define culture as a social behavior or an abstraction from behavior. The earliest definition of culture was given by a British anthropologist, E.B. Taylor, in the opening lines of his book Primitive Cultures. And also, culture studies is divided based on the geographical divisions. Say you have British cultural studies, you have American cultural studies, you have South Asian cultural studies. We talk about all of them not as watertight compartments, but as in when we talk about contemporary theory, we'll be talking about each of these geographical divisions also. Talking about culture and the way in which meaning shifts with regards to cultural studies, you have culture that is generally being governed by two things. One is politics and the other is power. And meaning is always being controlled by power relations, we could say. It changes based on people in power. And that is why you also have Marxism, which is closely related to cultural studies, or you could even talk about Marxism as a precursor to the development of cultural studies. And you have culture being governed by two things, as I told you, politics and power. And politics, because a culture is governed by what is being projected to the society. Now, whatever you see on television, it becomes a culture. Say, for instance, you find people wearing bell-bottom pants, and then that becomes culture. What is given to people becomes culture, and what is given actually depends on power relations. So, therefore, we say that culture is something that is governed by politics as well as by power. The non elite class is always referred to as people who are tasteless, people who are wasteful, and also worthless and stupid by the elite class. So, that is the projection, and therefore, people in power, they determine what becomes culture in the future. Culture studies, it tries to talk about these two things, popular culture and power culture, where popular culture is the target of studies in cultural studies. We talk about punk, and power culture is in fact the culture of the masses. Popular culture, for example, you have comic books which have come in place of graffiti, and you also have popular cinema as opposed to art cinema. You have popular music as opposed to classical music. So all this shows the difference between popular culture and power culture. And culture studies is the way in which culture is organized. And also you have common sports, for instance, to talk about popular culture and power culture in the context of India. We have people of middle class and lower middle class who always play this famous game, kabaddi. But however, you have the elite class who go in for playing sophisticated games like golf. So that again shows the difference between popular culture and power culture. So, culture of everyday life, culture of common people, and culture of the larger section is what is called as the culture of the masses. And this is always undermined, or it is referred to as something that is inferior and rejected because of the culture of the elite. So, the whole of culture studies, it talks about how power and popular culture, how they play a role in the shaping of culture. A very common example of the difference between something that is considered as high culture and low culture is up on your slide now. Now, when a person watches Satyajit Ray's films, he is considered as a person who probably takes in a lot of high culture. Same is not the case with low culture. For instance, you have film studies being prescribed in a number of colleges, but then they study Satyajit Ray's films, but not Karan Johar's films. So that is again a difference in terms of cinema.
Thanks a lot for watching. Do remember to like, share, and subscribe.